Everybody got their mics on? Okay. So good evening. I would like to call the March 4th, 2024 meeting of the Town of Cicero Zoning Board of Appeals to order. Ms. Robeson, please call the roll.
Here.
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 Here. Please take a note of the fire exits located in the front and the rear of this room. At this time, please silence all cell phones and pagers. Please note that tonight's meeting is being streamed on YouTube and is also being recorded. At this time, please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Has everyone read the minutes of the January 8th meeting? Are there any corrections? Okay. If no corrections, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve?
Okay, Mr. Beck, do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Mr. Rabia, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Yes to the motion.
I have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Yes to the motion?
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion. The Cicero Town Board acknowledges the importance of full public participation at all public meetings, and therefore we urge all who wish to address those in attendance to please come to the microphone located in the front of the room. At this time, I will make a motion that all actions taken tonight are type 2 actions and have a negative impact that is no impact on the environment unless otherwise indicated. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Ms. Luckett. Ms. Robeson, when you're ready, please call the roll.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion?
Yes to the motion.
We have proof that all items on tonight's agenda have been advertised as directed by law. I will briefly review the process for tonight's meeting for the benefit of those present that have never been before the Zoning Board of Appeals. Each applicant will have an opportunity to describe their project. The board will then ask questions about the project. I will then open a public hearing where people will be able to speak for or against the proposed variance. The applicant will then be given the opportunity to respond to the public input and provide additional information. Board members will be allowed to ask follow-on questions. The board will then openly discuss amongst ourselves the 5 factors that contribute to the final decision. And please note that this board does not have a pre-agenda meeting, so there is no prior discussion of the cases outside of this meeting. And finally, a motion will be made either approving or denying the variance, seconded and voted upon. Excuse me. Our first and only case tonight is an application for a property on 7879 Northern Boulevard. The applicant is Access CNY and Matt Subert. I hope I didn't butcher that. Just one note for the board. This does require a county referral, and the town did make that county referral, but we will not have a response until the 6th. So while we can ask questions, we can't make any decision tonight. And what I plan on doing is opening the public hearing and keeping it open until the next meeting, by which time we'll have the county decision. Okay. So that, if you wouldn't mind addressing the board and talking about your project.
Sure. Good evening, and thank you for having us. You got the last name right, so thank you. And I'm here along with Vince Raymond from VIP Structures, who's helping with our site selection, design, build, and Alex from KFA, who can speak more to the property itself. But we want to just give a brief overview of what the project is to help better inform your decision making. Access CNY is both a new agency and one with a rich history. We were created by the merger of 2 nonprofit organizations, Enable and Transitional Living Services. We've been serving the community for over 25 years, and we provide services for folks who have either a developmental disability or a mental health diagnosis. Today, we provide over 3 dozen services to the community. Those are offered both in our residential sites and throughout the community. We have 30 plus sites in central New York. We serve 2,400 people and employ 1,400 individuals. Our goal is always to help people live as independently as possible as they can in the community. What we're here discussing tonight is the need for added mental health resources, and that's what our project is about. This is the question we're asked most frequently by the folks that we serve and other community members. That's why we're grateful to be here tonight. Our nation is in a mental health crisis, and that crisis is even more severe here in central New York, where Onondaga County's recent community health assessment reported that central New York has a 30% higher suicide rate than the rest of the state, and that 15% of central New Yorkers report having more than 14 bad mental health days in a month. That's more than half the month. The biggest hurdle to supports is that there just aren't enough to be offered, and that's why we're excited to present our project to you today. We're looking to build a $4.2 million children's respite and mental wellness center. $3.7 million of that funding is coming from the State Assembly Speaker's Office, thanks to the efforts of Assemblyman Sturpey. The Assembly member actually recommended the property that we're asking you to take a look at tonight. We think it's a great location for our project based on the hybrid location. The site does not have a lot of neighborhood residential density, but it's also not an isolated site, making it a nice sort of hybrid of a community site, not in a neighborhood. It's also not in the middle of nowhere. The other appeal for this site is it's centrally located with easy access from highways, making it convenient for families to access. So what we're looking to build is a respite center. It'll be staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We'll have 10 to 12 staff who will be based out of that building, 5 to 7 on at a time. We'll be offering a couple of different services: planned respite for kids with disabilities whose parents are their constant caregivers, which the mental strain of that can be a lot, both for the kid and the parent. So it'll be a place for where those kids can come for a matter of days to give both the kids and the parents a break for their mental health. But we'll also be offering mental health crisis respite for kids who are struggling and for who right now the only option for them is to go to a hospital emergency room. It's not a great place for a child who is struggling with their mental health to be. And right now, I could tell you multiple kids who are essentially stuck at upstate with nowhere else to go, and this would be a great opportunity for them. So their stays could be a little longer than the planned stays, but these are overnight stays, and we're staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week with our well-trained staff. While the kids are there, they'll receive mental health counseling, control of their symptoms, and as you'll see on the site plan, lots of outdoor space as well to help regulate their efforts. So that's the project in itself, and I'll let Vince and or Alex going to talk about the site and the variants that we're looking for.
Hello, I'm Alex. I'm part of the site design team. And the first thing I'd like to do, since it's been a while since we submitted, we went to this planning board. Our site plans changed just a little bit, and I think that would be good for you guys.
Thank you.
It's mostly just the entry drive you'll see got updated. We've done some work with,
Thank you.
Onondaga County DOT,
Thank you.
as well as the fire chief, and also working on doing work with them in order to coordinate utilities and access, firefighting, fire protection, services. And this is where we landed. Everyone is content and happy with this layout. We've met everyone's metrics and measures. So to start, it also has this overall site plan, which I thought would be helpful for context of the site. So on the zoomed out one, we have a 6.42 acre site, and the design disturbs approximately 2 acres of that. As I mentioned, we were already in front of the planning board on February 21st. And we have made these accommodations you're seeing based off of comments and other coordination. We're here today to review a request for a relief to the front yard setback on Thompson Road only. It's a corner lot, but Northern Boulevard, as you'll see, is compliant with the 50-foot setback. And in fact, the closest point is 85 feet away. But in order to avoid the wetlands and the wetland buffers you see on the lower portion of the site, we're looking for that relief so we don't have to disturb any of those natural resources on the site. That was kind of my quick overview, and I heard from your procedure, I haven't been here before, that you guys go through the standards of proof, so I don't know if that's something you want me to review or we'll do that later, but.
You haven't. I've been coughing, so I wanted to shut this off so you weren't exposed to that. If you have anything you want to point out in that, please do.
Yeah, let me look at it quick. Yeah, as I mentioned, it's just a reduction on Thompson Road, not both, and we're really trying to be cognizant of those wetland and wetland buffer, do not disturb them. That was a priority for our project. And then in terms of undesirable change, another big goal of the project is really to blend in with the environment and the neighborhood around it. Matt kind of touched on that. We want it to have a neighborhood feel, and the goal with the building is to match the aesthetic of the areas around it and make it feel residential. It's not going to feel like a big commercial building on the corner there. I think those are kind of the main ones. I suppose if you guys have more comments in terms of the physical and environmental conditions. I feel like I'm saying it over and over, but we're avoiding the wetlands and the wetland buffer. Our seeker report came back all except for that SHPO comment you guys might have seen, but we submitted and they gave us letters. I can pass it if you want, saying there'll be no effect. So we've done our due diligence.
Yeah, please.
We've done our, I would say due diligence on the environmental, historical.
Thank you.
So, yeah.
So one of the things we're charged with is approving the minimum variance necessary. And I wanted to maybe drill into that a little bit more. Because as looking at this, what I see, and I don't think, accepting the parking lot and the entrance changes that were here, I think the building is materially in the same
Yeah,
places.
exactly. It hasn't
So-
moved.
So what I'm seeing is that this one stormwater facility B, that looks like it's what's preventing the building from potentially sliding back another 25 feet. So I wanted someone maybe to talk about, were any other options looked in place of having an open stormwater facility, like having, you can have storage underneath.
Chambers and
Yeah.
things. So we kind of explored some of those and ultimately landed here, not so much because of the inability to do chambers, but given that this is a majority drop-off facility and most people arriving are being dropped off, we do have parking. The layout really wasn't meshing to provide the proper drop-off loop needed. As we played around, we really tried to puzzle and move things and try and make it fit, as you said, and run stormwater in the front. But they really kind of need to lay in this orientation with the entrance. Like, as you see, we have our garage and just how the building being able to get the services. So they have a vehicle, like a van that can park here. And yeah, just playing with needing our sensory garden spaces and other things, that this is kind of where we landed as the correct for our program layout, and the other pieces didn't fit together. So I guess we did try, but.
And then the other piece that I saw, because what you don't see up on here is the reconfigured driveway. There is more space over here, but I also see that is showing as a possible raised septic location.
Yeah, we were, on the plan, which I can't point out, we were going to originally, when we had this layout, drop the septic down into this, I'll call it the finger of the parcel you can see, and pipe through this space. However, with the new drive, we're going to now explore moving the septic up, not pulling it so far, not having to potentially disturb this buffer. The drive, we did provide the county with 3 options. We ran a drive as far as we could this way, one that was here, and one directly across, which is where we landed, and that was their preference. County, for safety reasons, really doesn't like offset drives at all, opposing traffic facing each other. This option wasn't viable because DOT won't approve these islands. There's this utility pole. We talked about the National Grid going to them, and that's no one agreed that that was the right approach. And actually, the county really does like this as an option. It's meets all the minimum offsets of intersections. So the one you're looking at was good. And the fire department also agreed with the hydrant being directly across. So this is, yeah.
So the fire department has looked at this and they're
Give
good.
his sign off, I guess, not approval, but.
Understood.
Maybe you answered it and I missed it, Alex, but it's called the northeast half of the building, if you will. Why can't that slide southeast? I don't understand why it can't move 25 feet to the south, because it's actually shorter than the other portion of the building.
Going this way, you mean?
Correct.
So again, just, I guess we didn't talk about that so specifically. We were talking about the storm facility more so, but just with the way we're using these as puzzle pieces, we have this building and then we have this outside play area, and just like moving the pieces around, the building drops here. It kind of pushes the play place potentially here or here, and those aren't really good places, even with fencing.
I
in our-
don't know that, right? I mean, I think you could slide that portion of the building down 25 feet. I don't think it touches your play spot at all.
But then we need more storms. So this storm facility has been ran and meets the capacities we need. We're doing the final calculations, but we're
Thanks.
going to start.
Put down to there.
I have a question.
Yeah.
I'm looking at, I guess it would be the northeast section where you have that little bit of cutout towards the storm area. And I've looked at the garage, and I think it's 8 bedrooms that you have in the
Facility, yeah.
facility at this point that is in the right of way. I noticed you removed 4 parking spaces from your new plan. Could you move the garage to the south and fill in that section to the right on the northeast corner and remove any structure at all from the perceived zoning variance area?
Or, sorry, just so I make sure I understand, when you're
Yeah,
saying
good.
garage, like over here or
Yep.
here? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, oh, you got a pointer? Okay, I didn't know you had one. Sneaky devil, you. Okay, yeah, that one. Okay, build this out here. This section, do away with this section. Move the garage down to here. And that would eliminate the need for a variance completely, unless the parking is gonna require a variance.
I mean, I'm not the architect, so I can't speak super technically to that, but I will say
Mr.
one of
Raymond
the,
could speak to
one-
that, I'm
one-
sure.
well, I was gonna
This
say,
is,
one
it's
of
just out of curiosity.
one of the major things I will say before Vince jumps in
Mhm.
is there's a wing design and wings for kids, I believe, ages and different programs they need. And so changing the layout into a block, I think kind of inhibits some of that.
I'll try to fill in some gaps on some of the questions. Vince Raymond with VIP Structures. We are the design builder. So one of your first questions about a different type of stormwater management, we've considered all those things. This is like the 4th or 5th site we've been looking at. We've spent a lot of time and a lot of excess CNY's money trying to find a site that works for them. This is a great location. And we've discovered that, as you know, there's bad news around every corner, and specifically the latest one is geotechnical report has come back where the soils are really bad, and it's adding hundreds of thousands of dollars to our budget that's already over budget. So we're trying to find ways to save money, not to spend more money. And if you are familiar with construction, those stormwater, subsurface stormwater systems are very expensive, and they're not in the budget. The wing area where we're now putting the septic area, the leach fields, that's actually uphill, so that we'd have to pump. We can pump the septic, but we're not going to pump the stormwater, so that does not work. This building and this design, and specifically the operations within this building, has had a lot of attention by a lot of people, including a lot of design professionals. And I'm not saying there's no room to move, but we can't be making big changes in this building shape or location. Believe me, we've been looking at this site for 4 months, and we've studied every which way we can to try to fit it and minimize the impact to, setbacks, or try to avoid, a variance. Obviously, that's our first goal. And this is what we've come up with. unfortunately, we're kind of between a rock and a hard place. And, we're looking for a little bit of relief.
I still don't understand why that northeast chunk of the building can't slide to the southeast.
The whole building.
Just,
You mean
just slide the whole thing down.
building or-
to the southeast. Just take it and slide it down this way, so you're not in the 25-foot setback.
Well, there's a relationship between between all of the components of the building.
I
And
see.
if you're moving one part of it, you're moving the whole building, and then you're creating a pinch point. We've got stormwater up above, and that would need to get around the building without going into the wetlands or off to the, to the east too far. But then also you're impinging upon the outdoor activity areas, which is every bit as important as the building, the activities in the building. There's sensory, yard outside and sensory gardens and play areas, and all of these functionalities on the outside are very important to the operations of this facility, as well as obviously dealing with the stormwater. And stormwater is engineering, it's hard, cold math, and that's the size that we need. So as we move things, I know it seems simple, like we could just slide it, but it's taking our outside area that Access CNY is deemed important to the operations and the success of their facility.
Do you think it would go into the play area at all? I don't think so.
Well, that whole area outside of the building is the sensory area and outside space that's to be used
So-
as function. The play
Yeah,
area is.
so I
is
got that,
separate.
I got that, but that area where the walkway is that comes out of that part of the building to that tree basically would be where we would minimize. No, I wouldn't touch that at all, right? I mean, you've got whatever, can I see that pointer, Rob?
Yeah, just if you hit it once, it'll turn on and stay on. Let's see if I can do this.
So, right, all I'm saying is come down here. Just to avoid some of this. So.
Yeah.
Come down 10 feet, come
Well-
down 8 feet, come down 20 feet, whatever the number is. I'm not saying come into this area at all. Just be in this area where the sidewalk is and where part of that proposed tree is.
So is what you're saying is that this is a package deal, and if one piece of it
Well-
moves, the entire thing has to.
Yeah, but let me say this. There's a lot of people working on this project. And if the answer is going to be no, I'd rather say, can we have a work session and bring the rest of the design team that has more specific technical knowledge than the three of us here? And maybe we can come to a resolution that is, I know for sure that if you say, no, we can't build this project here. If we come to something in between, maybe there's a resolution that's something less than what we're asking, but is still asking for a variance.
Okay.
And admittedly, you're getting into details. I can't, we need our design
It's fine.
team.
It's understandable.
And that's
I
fine.
don't know if that's an opportunity for a work session, or if you just want us to noodle on something and come back, or I'd love to make you guys happy. I'd love to build this project here, and I want it to work for everyone.
One more question. That center green area, is that open? That's open? So theoretically, and I'm saying, of course, theoretically, that could be used for building space. Just theoretically, I know you have a project and a plan and a specific way you want to handle this type of institution and organization. I get that. But I'm just, our job is to try to avoid variances where we can, of course.
So I think Mr. Daniel has a. has been
Thank you,
waiting
Mr. Chairman.
patiently.
I don't usually ask questions from down here, but I have a little bit of familiarity with some of this. I'm just curious from Access CNY, is this like an Article 32 facility? Does it fall under the Department of Mental Health, or how is it regulated? OMH. It's not a clinical, okay, okay.
The only clinical service that could be located there is counseling through our Article 28.
Article 28, okay. So I guess my questions relate, because I'm familiar with Article 28. But even though it's not under 31 or 32, my experience with Article 28 is there's very specific requirements from the DOH or OMH and all of that in terms of room sizes, all of that. So changing the configuration of the building itself is a lot more difficult than just sliding something, because you've got all these other state regulations that it has to comply because it is a healthcare facility. Okay, just wanted to add that in as a point of note.
Thank you. Mr. Suarez.
I have a question. Is this a children facility or an adult facility? So my only concern would be the safety issue. You're working with students with special needs, correct? Whether they're disability or illness. So the front on the top where it says access CNY, where you have the bedrooms, the 8 bedrooms. Yep, that one right there. You have an exit door coming out into the variant and windows. So to me, it's more like a safety issue, would be an easy access for students with disabilities to sneak out or to break through the window. I only say that because that's what I do for a profession. I'm a special ed teacher and I applaud you for this. This is great. But my concern would be the safety issue being so close to the road.
Yeah, that will all be addressed, I think, Matt.
That was sort of a
Talk to the security and how that's handled.
Yeah, I can address that. So, and it's an ongoing discussion based on needing to ensure security, but also not infringing on rights as per regulation as well. So trying to figure out what that balance is. Yeah. We're working with both OMH and OPWD on that.
And like I said, that would be my only concern, would be so close to the road, being that these students can lose it in a second. That's why they have a disability. So that was my only concern when I reviewed the map and the bedrooms, was that point of view, the safety being so close to the road.
Yeah, we'll have a very high.
Thank you for that question. And please don't take this as a commentary on the use itself. This is literally just the location that we're talking about. Any other comments at this point?
Refresh me on what the plan is. We're not going to vote on anything tonight.
We're not going to vote or anything tonight, which I think provides us an opportunity if we want to bring people back who may be able to talk to some of the more technical aspects of the layout.
Sure. I mean, do you guys get what I'm saying? I mean, they actually, yeah, I have to shoot at you guys right here. I mean,
Yeah.
actually made the walkway longer to go into the building that's pushed up to the north more. So I don't,
I guess, my question, just bouncing back and forth, is if we shift this down,
Yeah.
I mean, this garage is
we're-
essentially on that as
well,
well.
as Chuck said, we're trying to minimize the overall variance, right?
Yeah.
That's our charge. So
Okay.
I'm looking for ways to kind of do it in a way that it doesn't harm anything that you guys are asking for, use-wise, space-wise, just trying to minimize that right there.
Mhm.
I mean, I can live with that,
Okay.
but I see area here that's, again, you've got a walkway that's actually longer than any other walkway that you have here. Bring it to the level of this building here or wherever. So.
I would love to have a conversation with whoever.
It's great. Yeah, that's fine. I mean, if you guys want to come back with a, something a little bit more technical and let us know what they're thinking or the right person, that's fine.
Is it?
Would you guys be willing to have a meeting prior to you? I mean,
Well, we're gonna leave the meeting open, right?
Terry, are we allowed to have that kind of meeting?
Why don't we just continue it next month?
I mean, would you be opposed to just making that part of this meeting? Unfortunately for us, we usually only have 1 or 2 cases, so it's not like this is going to derail the entire
no, I
process.
understand. I guess my concern is, right now, all of our designers are in full go mode and we're spending a lot of money. And we're at the tail end of uncovering any red flags to development. And this is something we're looking for, some kind of input from the board. I know I can't vote tonight, but if we're at an impasse, it doesn't make any sense for us to spend another month of design time marching forward on a plan that can't be built.
I don't think we're at an impasse, and I just wanted to bounce this off of you guys where maybe we could put some parameters on this where it's not so wide open. So what I would say is, I think where some of the board is coming from at this point, and we're willing to have that discussion with your designers. Maybe the thing to do would be to come to the next meeting with either, okay, we can do this, or we have to stick with what's shown up here and this is why. And I think that would be a reasonable approach to this that wouldn't put you into too much more rework.
Okay. I think that's reasonable. As I look at it, I'm thinking there may be some flexibility there. I don't think if we're just talking about that one wing, that's encouraging. And I think.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, again,
Um,
in the spirit of
don't
what Chuck
think I
is
can-
saying.
Get it back the full 25 feet, but maybe if I can get that
Well, you-
easterly wing.
10.
Yeah, I,
Down.
and again, I'm not suggesting full 25. Again, we're just trying to minimize the variance, right?
Okay.
Go back.
Yeah, I think,
Fact, we need to
That's
cut it off.
combination site and building
Yeah.
design, but yes.
yeah, and I think we would appreciate that.
Yeah, just some thoughtful commentary on why we are where we are, and you know, if we can do what we're thinking about, or if not, then we make a decision, right?
Appreciate that. And I certainly see your point, and
Okay.
we're willing to do that.
Great, thank you.
Just real quick, I know we can't obviously have the structure in the wetland buffer, but could the play equipment be in that wetland buffer at all, like a?
No,
Yeah,
now we're really trying to respect the sensitive environmental areas and not impact it at all.
okay. So what I'm gonna do, if there aren't any other questions, I think we know what direction we want to go in. I'm going to open the public hearing. I'll ask for the fors and against, but we're gonna leave it open so that next time after this is presented, we can do the same. And what I'll wind up doing is deferring to our next meeting. So at this time, I will open the public hearing. Would anyone speak for this? Okay, would anyone speak against this? Okay, so we're not going to close the public hearing. We're going to keep that open. I did wind up getting one comment by email. I'm not necessarily obligated to read this, but it did echo some of the thoughts that the board had. So this comment's from Judy Boyke. She labels as an adult facility, which we've just learned that it's not an adult facility. So thank you for that. There was also a statement that the plans did not have enough parking. I believe you said that this is a drop-off facility as opposed to something where people are going to be long-term parking here.
Yeah.
Also talking about having it set back further from the busy corner. I believe we're in the process of addressing that right now. No room for truck deliveries or fire trucks to entry, which I believe you've been talking with the county
And
about
I
that.
don't have it here, but we have programs that can run it. The fire truck can fully navigate this entire space and is fine, and delivery will be small box truck.
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Stan, the North Syracuse Fire Department provided their aerial apparatus or their turning template
Great.
for their equipment. That's going to be part of the site plan review, and they are addressing those issues.
Okay. And then obviously the point was made that you're trying to avoid the wetlands, which we've discussed pretty extensively tonight. So could you just, I know we talked about this being a drop-off facility, but volume, what type of volume does this typically see?
Say maybe Matt can help. Sorry.
So the way we have the building designed is in wings. So the upper north section is what we'd call planned respite.
Okay.
And that's for generally kids with disabilities. So those kids will be there probably mostly on weekends, but during over school breaks as well, where the wing that kind of falls sort of the opposite end there is more for kids who are in mental health crisis. So those will tend to be longer stays, but it is essentially a drop-off site. So in terms of parking, they're not a huge issue and concern that we have.
Okay, great.
Does that
Thank
answer
you. It does. Yes, thank you. Any other questions at this point?
So parking is, I mean, you basically said 5 to 7 staff on duty. You've got 18 spots. Kids are probably not going to be driving there, I don't think. I mean, maybe not. So you've got plenty, I think, for folks to come and go.
Yeah, the way we're doing our staffing the facility is we're also doing staggered scheduling. So even when there's shift changes, they're not all going to happen at once.
All right, so with that, thank you for coming tonight. And at this time, I will make a motion to defer this case until our April 1st meeting.
Second.
All right, second by Mr. Beck. When you're ready, please call the roll.
Yes, the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Yes to the motion?
Yes, to the motion.
Yes to the motion.
Okay.
All right, so we'll see everybody next month.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does anyone else have any business before the board? Okay, there being no other business, our next meeting is scheduled for April 1st, 2024. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Adjourned. Thank you.